Yo, we've got breaking news as Dexter Lawrence has officially requested a trade from the New York Football Giants. We're going to break that down from every single angle. And then coming up later on today's show, I reached out to every single person that works at Chat Sports now that we cover all 32 teams. So we're going to go over some trade destinations and trade offers that other teams' channel hosts here at Chat Sports think their team would present to the Giants to get a deal done. There's a lot to talk about. I mean, I was almost in shell shock when I was doing my initial immediate reaction to the news. And now that the news is somewhat settled and we kind of have gotten our bearings, I think that we could talk about this at a better length. But appreciate everybody for clicking on today's show. It wouldn't be the NFL offseason if there wasn't some crazy stuff going on. And now that we are one day away, officially less than 24 hours away from practice number 1 under John Harbaugh, the smoke and the distractions are now here with Dexter Lawrence. I appreciate everybody for being here in the building. Already over 300 people in the chat. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon. We'll be taking questions. We'll be taking super chats off the top of the show. We'll go over the news in case you weren't able to watch our instant reaction video. If you weren't, make sure you are subscribed and have those notifications turned on because now is the time of year where crazy stuff happens at crazy times, and I don't want anyone to be out of the loop. Drew in the chat says, man, I don't like this. Big Trezzy says, tuning in at work. Let's go. Appreciate you, my man. Yeah, it's been a crazy, crazy day. Already. Look, let's just kind of go through the news from the top down. Adam Schefter, the first one to report the news that Dexter Lawrence has officially requested a trade from the Giants. He tweeted out just about an hour and a half ago, quote, ESPN sources, Giants all-pro defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence has requested a trade, and he will not be participating in the team's offseason workout program that opens Tuesday. Lawrence and the Giants have been through 2 off seasons attempting to negotiate a contract reflecting his value to the Giants over the last 3 years, but there has not been any progress made. I kind of want everyone to focus in on that last line. Lawrence and the Giants have been through 2 off seasons attempting to negotiate a contract reflecting his value to the Giants over the last 3 years. That's where I want to butt in here, and I think this is where Dexter Lawrence doesn't really have the most power here. The National Football League is a league where you get paid for what you are going to do, not for what you have done. That's not the way that contracts work. And only teams that pay for past production, the teams that do that, are teams that aren't very good. And the Giants have been a team at times in the past 15 years where they have paid for past production. You don't do that in the National Football League. So Dexter Lawrence looking to get paid off of what he's done the past 3 years. Well, the facts are the facts. Dexter Lawrence, you just put out your worst season in the National Football League. 8 quarterback hits, 4 tackles for loss. Your effort obviously was not at 100%. And look, I'm on both sides of the fence here. So if you're mad at me for saying things about Dexter Lawrence that are true, you know what? Buckle up, because a lot of it is true. And Dexter Lawrence tanked the New York Giants season, was a part, and tanked his own season last year. Reports are coming out that the elbow injury was overstated. So he showed up to camp out of shape. He didn't give 110% effort. All because the Giants did not give him a contract in the offseason. So if you're going to selfishly not show up in shape, not give 110% effort because you did not get a contract, the question now has to become is, do the Giants want a player like that in the building? And now job number 1 and hurdle number 1 is here for John Harbaugh, which, look, he's a veteran coach. He's gone through all this. He ain't the first. Dexter Lawrence ain't the first person that's going to request a trade in the John Harbaugh era with the Giants, and it's not the first trade request that Harbaugh has ever dealt with. What is Harbaugh and the Giants going to do? This is where you set the tone for the next 5, 6, 8, 10, 12 years, however long you're here, to let everyone on the team know how this team is going to operate and handle situations like this. Does a trade request by a player who was once the best in the National Football League at his position, does that equal a fat payday? Are the Giants going to let Dexter Lawrence strong-arm them by a trade request? Are they now going to pay him big-time money? I always think that there are certain ways to go about things, and last year you didn't show up in shape. This year you're not showing up. If you actually wanted to be a Giant and you wanted to get things done and you wanted to kick things off on the right foot, you would show up tomorrow and try to get a contract done and show the Giants that you were all in. So as mad as I am that the Giants have not been able to get a deal done, I'm also pissed off at Dexter Lawrence for the BS season that he put on tape last year, the selfish way that he acted, and now once again he's going to be selfish because he's not going to show up for day one of the John Harbaugh era, and he's going to make it about himself again like he has for the better part of 2 seasons. And I'll say this, there's one thing to ask for a new contract after you go off for 9.5 sacks and you're the best interior defensive line in the year. Last year, you weren't even a top 20 player at your position. And I'll just say this, everyone that said Dexter Lawrence was good last year, it's not true. Dexter Lawrence was not good. You know why? Because when Dexter Lawrence was on the field last year, the Giants allowed more than 5.2 yards per carry. If he was that good, the Giants defense would have been a little bit better. So I'm pissed off at Dexter Lawrence, and I'm pissed off at the Giants as well. And I don't know how this is going to end. But is John Harbaugh and his first ever contract dispute going to let a trade request and not showing up to voluntary meetings equal a big payday? Is he going to get run over by Dexter Lawrence? Because then that tells Malik Neighbors that you could do that. That tells that Brian Burns you can do that. That tells Andrew Thomas, who's going to want a new money and new contract, that he is going to be able to get his way if he just throws a pity party and all that. So it's a big, big opportunity for John Harbaugh to set the memo and set the tone for how this team, organization, and front office is going to really operate. We're going to get strong-armed by Dexter Lawrence coming off his worst year in the National Football League, or you're going to set the tone here, and if you're not all the way in bleeding blue, we're going to trade you because we want players here that want to be here. Didn't he say that in his opening presser? If you want to be here and you want to be a Giant, we'll keep you here. If you don't, go somewhere else. Ain't that right, Joe? It went just like that. So I think both people, everyone involved right now, it's a joke. Like, you go back to the NFL Combine, and Joe Schoen was asked by Pat Leonard, shout out to Pat Leonard, said, and when I had Pat on the show, he said, don't put this to bed. I promise you, it's not going away. And shout out to Pat. He was the first one on it, and he was the one that asked Joe Schoen about it. He said, is Dexter Lawrence going to be on your football team next year? Definitely. And Joe Schoen responded and said, I don't know where that came from. Well, what do you mean you don't know where that came from? He wanted a contract for the last 2 years. You sprinkled BS incentives on his deal to start the year with $3 million. And now that there's no more guaranteed money on the deal, you don't know where the idea of Dexter Lawrence potentially not being on the Giants came from? Do you not know what's going on inside the building that you run, Joe Schoen? Or are you just lying to the media once again? Or are you so over your head you don't know how to do your job? 13 wins over the last 3 seasons shows that you don't know how to do your job very well. Then there was a follow-up asked by Dan Duggan of The Athletic. Shout out to Dan. Said, has Dexter Lawrence expressed a desire and a want for an extension or a new contract? Joe Schoen responded, he has not. Those conversations haven't been had. So once again, you don't know, Joe Schoen, if your player wants an extension, or you are lying, or you're just terrible at your job. And you know what? I think we're putting all 3 into the pot. I think it's all 3. You don't know how to do your job, you don't know what's going on in your building, and you're lying. How do you not know Dexter Lawrence wants a new contract? How do you not know? You negotiated with him for the last 2 years. Do you think you just woke up one day and you're like, shit, I got a good night's sleep. Let's give Dexter Lawrence $3 more million on his deal. He hasn't asked for it, right? But we're just going to give it to him. That doesn't make any sense. Then when you are asked if he's expressed a desire to get a new deal, you said he has not. Then you fast forward a month and a half later and he's requested a trade. This is why you should have fired Joe Schoen. And I don't even know if he has any say-so at this point, but he is a stain on your organization that cannot be removed. It's a joke. It's a joke. It's Joe Schoen's fault. It's Dexter Lawrence's fault. It's everybody involved's fault. And you know what? It's a shitty situation, and I'll tell you right now, a team calls me up and offers me 2 first-round picks for Dexter Lawrence. I'll see you, man. I'll see you. I'll take 2 first-round picks. Team offers you a first and a second-round pick this year. I think you got to listen as well. Joe Schoen says, I don't know where that came from. What do you mean you don't know where that came from, Joe? He showed up to camp out of shape. He didn't try all season long. And then he put an elbow brace on mid-year because the elbow was a problem. You don't know where that came from, Joe. I can't overstate how obnoxious of a response that is from Joe Schoen. Joe, is Dexter Lawrence going to be on your team definitely next year? I don't know where that came from. Oh, I don't know. Maybe in the offseason when he wanted a new deal and you didn't get him one. Or the offseason before that when he wanted the deal and you didn't get him one. Then he's asked if he's approached you about a new deal and you say no. So you're telling me Dexter Lawrence, by the time the season ended to the NFL Combine, he has not approached the Giants about a deal. That's what you're saying. So by the time we got back from the Combine on March 1st to now April 7th, you're saying that is the time that he's requested a new deal and he's requested a trade? I find that hard to believe. I really, really do. So once again, an absolute joke of an organization the New York Giants are. And if we're doing the pizza pie blame theory, 50% on Joe Schoen and the Giants, 50% on Dexter Lawrence. You got some real nuts, Dexter Lawrence, to go ask for a new contract extension after you tanked the season, you didn't give effort, you were not a leader, you had someone on the defensive line and Abdul Carter not showing up to meetings, you didn't want to be a leader for him. Oh yeah, and you sucked last year. And you got called out by Carl Banks. Wow, what an offseason. What an offseason. It's a joke. It's a joke. By everyone involved. Everyone involved. 32 tackles last year. 8 quarterback hits. You haven't had a sack in 23 games. I mean, come on, man. Like, what are we doing here? What are we doing? Team offers me 2 first-round picks. Shake hands, dap it up. We'll see you later, Dexter Lawrence. Are we sure he even wants to be here? He didn't play like he wanted to be here last year. He didn't give effort like he wanted to be here last year. What, is a new payday going to get it done? Because we've seen that work so many times, right? Go ask the Cleveland Browns. Myles Garrett requested a trade. You gave him a new deal, and he was pissed off all season long. Like, if you're mad about the losing Dexter Lawrence, sure. But if this is, I just want more money, and I'm going to be A-okay, and I'm going to be a model citizen after that, I call BS. New payday ain't going to make it happen. And are we sure that he's still ascending as a player? Because the last 2 years haven't been all that great. Is it John Harbaugh's fault? No, I don't think it is. John Harbaugh made it abundantly clear at the NFL Combine that he wants it here. One thing I didn't like is that Harbaugh was asked if he had spoken to Dexter Lawrence face-to-face, and he said no. Which, I don't know necessarily if I need John Harbaugh meeting up with him, but I don't know. We're in a weird spot. We're in a weird spot. So then you get to the question, well, what does the trade look like? Well, I think that Dexter Lawrence and Quinnen Williams are pretty comparable players. And I would think if you're the Giants, this is a trade offer that it's like if you're not at least willing to meet this, then I don't think there's really a conversation because as Ryan Dunleavy of the New York Post, who covers the Giants, says there's obviously recent comp for a Giants-Dexter Lawrence trade. Cowboys traded a first-rounder, a second-rounder, and Mozzie Smith for Quinnen Williams. He said he asked a source, is Dexter worth that? And the source said, he's a better player. So, yeah. So, look, I know people are hanging on to what Jordan Renan reported, that NFL teams have told him a late first-round pick or a second-round pick. No shit, teams aren't. This isn't a knock on Jordan Renan. No shit, teams aren't going to tell Jordan Renan, yeah, we're going to have to give up 2 first-round picks for Dexter Lawrence. Because then that sets a precedent, a baseline of what the value is. Then you're competing against yourself. Of course they're going to tell Jordan and any Giants reporter that the value is lower. Because they want to get this good player on a low deal. So, like, I don't believe anyone that think, if all it took was a first-round pick to get Dexter Lawrence and a trade, he'd already be traded. Like, if that's the max the Giants thought they could get, he'd already be dealt. And there would have been 28 teams offering a first-round pick. Like, I don't believe that you can get Dexter Lawrence for a second-round pick. I don't believe it. I'm sorry. And if you can, then the Giants just don't know what they're doing. And if it is only a second-round pick, you just hold on to him. And you don't pay him. And you make him lose a year. What's he do? Not going to show up this year? You're already missing $500,000, Dexter Lawrence, by not showing up on Wednesday. You had the highest workout bonus on the team, and you're not showing up. You're going to cost yourself $500,000. What, are you going to not play all year next year? You're going to cost yourself $20 million? So $20.5 million. Dexter Lawrence is going to cost himself that next year by not playing? I don't believe it. I don't believe it whatsoever. Real pile of shit the Giants find themselves in, and I think everyone involved is a part of it outside of the new people that are a part of this organization. They unfortunately had to inherit this. Like we can open it up to the super chats here, but I'll just say this. If Dexter Lawrence wanted to be a Giant, he'd be here. And I have a problem with players that when a regime changes, which the Giants have, you're now going to ask out, why didn't you request a trade at the NFL trade deadline? Why didn't you do that? And look, loyalty in sports is not a thing. I'm not asking Dexter Lawrence to be by blood loyal to the New York Giants, but read the room, man. You look like a descending player over the last 2 years. Those are just the facts. You've been beat up with an elbow injury that cost you last year, and now it's supposedly hindering your performance, or are you just going to admit that you didn't try that hard last year? It's one of the two. It's either the elbow or you didn't try last year. And neither look good, because if the elbow held you back, what, you're going to wake up tomorrow and the elbow is going to be A-okay? Like, not great. I understand he's 28 and defensive tackles play longer, but, man. And I do think that he does need a new deal. We just showed you the numbers. He's the 12th highest paid defensive tackle this year, 13th highest paid defensive tackle last year. I don't think he was the top 12 defensive tackle in the NFL, to be fair, but I'm hoping with a new coach, which it's kind of been reported that Brian Daboll and Dexter Lawrence didn't really like each other towards the end. Like, hopefully he can get back to being a top 10 player. But I don't even know if you could say he was the top 32 interior defensive lineman last year. Carl Banks, and look, I don't always agree with what Carl Banks has to say, but he's not just going to take shots at Dexter Lawrence if there isn't good reason to. So there we are on that. 700 people in the building. If you could, please hit that thumbs up icon. Coming up later on today's show, we're going to go over some trade destinations and trade ideas that we have talked to some other people that cover NFL teams as well. So appreciate everybody being here. As many questions as you guys have, super chats you want answered, we'll answer those all day long. I'm fired up, man. The nuts you have to have after asking for a payday after the season and effort you just put out last year, kudos to you, man, because they're big balls. Melio says, if it's money, just pay the guy, don't trade him. Should the Giants just pay him? What precedent does that set, Andrew Connell? If you can have a dog shit season last year, you don't show up to the first day of organized team activities, and now you're going to selfishly say, I need a new deal or trade me. Well, what precedent does that say for an upcoming contract in Malik Neighbors, an upcoming contract in Jaxson Dart, an upcoming contract in Andrew Thomas, and Abdul Carter, and Brian Burns? You just get run over by all your players? Didn't the Giants already do that for the last 4 years?
I think the timing of this is like probably the biggest part of this entire storyline. If this happened after like any of the other prior seasons and the timing matched up with the fact that he had no guaranteed money left on his deal, the Giants would have wrote a blank check for Dexter Lawrence for what he had done through that point. But coming off of his worst season, do they want to gamble that he is going to just bounce back? I don't know if that's necessarily a smart move. Like every Giants fan appreciates how well Dexter Lawrence has played and his loyalty to the fan base to this point and to the team to this point. But like you said, he just had his last season, his worst season last season. And that's a lot of money to guarantee to a guy if he's going to just keep going downwards and not be the player that he once was. And John Harbaugh's talked about it. Let's see if he can put his money where his mouth is. He wants guys who love football. He wants guys who want to be here. Requesting a trade and missing offseason workouts first day of the voluntary offseason workouts. that doesn't send the message that you want to be here, that you love football, or that's your number one priority. And listen, I'm not necessarily blaming Dexter Lawrence for trying to get the most money possible in terms of his career, but like you said, we got to read the room a little bit, and really wasn't the time or the place for Dexter Lawrence to request a trade. And I don't know who's behind the fact that the news broke today, but I'm sure that is to put some pressure on the New York Giants, and that makes me believe that it comes from Dexter Lawrence's side. And that's just creating a distraction for the team trying to build and get ready for their first season under a new head coach. But yeah, like Marshall said, hit that thumbs up icon. Appreciate you guys, everyone here. I don't think anyone wanted to interrupt 20 minutes of what that was. That was a comprehensive breakdown of the situation, I think, and the context and the history that's led up to it. So if you missed those first 20 minutes, I would go back and tune into those.
Doesn't show up tomorrow. Giants pay him in 2 months. That just tells Malik Neighbors, if you don't try, you act like a baby, and you don't show up, and you're not about the team, and you're about yourself first, we're just going to pay you. You don't think other people on the Giants looking for paydays aren't watching how this situation's going to unfold? And I'm not in the camp of trading away good players, but if you just are going to let players waltz in off bad years, injuries, and lack of effort and get a new deal, what are you telling Malik Neighbors, who's going to ask for a contract in 2 years? What are you telling Brian Burns, who should probably get a new deal? He's probably underpaid. Andrew Thomas is probably underpaid at this point. But you know what? Andrew Thomas is a model citizen who's going to show up, give the organization everything he can, want to be a Giant, and they'll organically work out a deal because he actually wears that C on his chest like a captain, whereas Dexter Lawrence, you're supposed to be the captain of the defense. How come you didn't talk to Abdul Carter about missing multiple meetings? How come you didn't just go pick him up when you maybe I'm asking for too much for being a captain, but I'm tired of people wearing the C on the chest. They're just the most liked and most liked players on this team.
Doesn't actually mean it. So shout out to you, Milo. Appreciate the super chat. I think that was a pretty solid answer to that. Ultimate Rage, $10 super chat. Shout out to you. I want to re-sign him, but if we do trade him, send him to the Chargers for second, third, and next year's second and wide receiver Trey Harris.
Giants aren't trading Dexter Lawrence unless they're getting a first-round pick this year. John Harbaugh didn't come here to bottom out. And if you're going to trade your best player on defense and not have a first-round pick to, either replace the player or add more value to your team, Giants aren't in the camp of losing games right now. They're not going to waste the second-year contract of Jaxson Dart. He'll never be less expensive than he is right now. I have a hard time believing the Giants trade Dexter Lawrence for less than a first-round pick. And if that's all the offers you're getting, all right, let's play. And I'm not going to give you a new deal either. You signed a deal with 2 more years on it. I'll guarantee your money this year. And if you make it through the year healthy, I'll guarantee your money next year. But if you think you're going to strong-arm me into a negotiation by not showing up in shape, not giving 100% effort, maybe fabricating the elbow injury, which I'm not saying, just what I've heard, that's not the right way to go about it. Oh, and then you're going to miss day one of a new leaf for this organization where John Harbaugh is supposed to, for the first time, addressing the New York Giants, and Dexter Lawrence isn't going to be there. Think he's going to be working out hard to get in shape too? Didn't do it last year.
Yeah, the way you get a new contract should be showing up, doing everything right, showing the team you're 100% committed, ready to play, and then if they don't want to believe in you, let your play do the talking. Go out on the field, prove why you deserve to be a top, whatever he's looking to play, be paid, top paid defensive tackle, one of the top 10 paid players at his position in the league, one of the top 5 paid players at his position in the league. That's how you get a new contract. You prove that you let your play do the talking, especially coming off of your worst year ever for whatever the reason is. We'll see, and we'll see how this ends up. This could be a drawn out process for sure.
Jeff, what's up, my man? Appreciate you. Caleb Banks, defensive tackle out of Florida. Darnell Jackson, draft both with Dex's capital and actually stop the run. Yeah, and I think that's a good point that you brought up, because I don't think it's fair to say that Dexter Lawrence is and I'm not saying you're saying this, that Dexter Lawrence is a losing player because he's been on the Giants who have lost a lot. Just like I would never say that Andrew Thomas is a losing player because he's been on the Giants who have lost a lot. What I will say is the New York Giants since 2022 have the worst rushing defense by yards allowed and yards per carry in the National Football League. And while I don't expect for Dexter Lawrence to be a one-man band and a one-man army to stop the run, I don't think it reflects greatly on his impact that when he plays, you are still the worst run defense in the National Football League, yardage-wise allowed and yards per carry allowed. And look, would we be singing that much different of a tune if the Giants were the 25th ranked run defense in those categories over the last 5 years? Probably not, but
it's not good enough. That's the point. It's just not good enough. You can rank them 1 to 32. There's good enough and there's not good enough, and Giants haven't been good enough at stopping the run.
So, even in your prime, the Giants didn't stop the run, and last year you were not really that good, to be honest. And I know some people will disagree with that. If Dexter Lawrence set the bar here, he came in at about right here. And that's not even factoring in all the other stuff, which you do need to do if you are going to get paid. Seattle Seahawks are one of the best-run organizations in the National Football League. They just paid JSN. And part of the reason they said they paid JSN outside of being an awesome football player is he's a great locker room person. He's a great leader. He's a captain. He is who we want people to think of when they think about Seattle Seahawks football players. Does Dexter Lawrence do all the off-the-field stuff? Has he gotten in trouble? No. You know what? That bar's pretty low if he hasn't gotten in trouble. But what about showing up to camp in shape? You can't do that. They were paying you the 12th most money at your position last year. You couldn't show up in shape? You had to drag an injury all year long? Or were you actually injured? Because if you were, that's 2 years in a row that you've had an elbow injury derail your season. And I have a hard time imagining someone every single snap having to punch someone at the line of scrimmage. Their elbow is just going to magically get better. So that's kind of where I look at this. And if you can get a first and a second round pick for Dexter Lawrence, it's going to be hard for me to say no. It really, really is.
Yeah, I mean, especially when it's been a point of conversation, the Giants could use additional draft capital in those second, third round, or late first obviously would be better than that. Or we've talked about how, oh man, the Giants almost had multiple first-round picks. If they ended up had the number 1 overall pick, they would have been able to trade back and get multiple firsts. And there's still multiple holes left to fill on this football team. They need to hit the trenches more. They need more offensive linemen, need more defensive tackles already before you're potentially losing Dexter Lawrence. This team isn't one player away, so the ability to kind of fill multiple needs potentially could help the team.
This has been a terribly managed situation by everyone. Joe Schoen says, I don't know where that came from when asking if Dexter Lawrence was definitely going to be on the team. What do you mean you don't know? Why'd they give him a new contract with more money, or $3 million more dollars at the beginning of the year last year? Did he just guess that Dexter Lawrence wanted that? Do you think Joe Schoen woke up and said, you know what? I think that we should pay Dexter Lawrence more money.
That's it. It was it just came to him one day. He was sitting there figuring out if he can understand questions, and he just decided that he's going to pay Dexter Lawrence more money.
I don't know. I don't like anything about this situation, and not good. Not good. Seth Gross, what up, my man? $200 super chat. I'm not really in the mood to yell and all that, so look, we appreciate it. You know that we appreciate you. We love you, my man. $200 super chat. Give us some SGs in the comments section. A superstar, a rock star, and the oil in the tank of this channel. We love you, Seth Gross. I tried to buy. I don't know what that word is.
I don't know that one either, but maybe separate from his business, from the business decisions, and I guess his love for debts.
Bifurcate, divide into two branches or forks.
Okay.
Bifurcate. Look at that. My emotions from the business decision. Yeah, I don't always do that well, so I'm glad that you have tried. Says, As a fan, this is a dick move by Dexter for all the reasons Marsh stated. As a business decision, I understand it. The timing is smart by Dex. It makes the Giants a little desperate, but no one is irreplaceable. So long, Dex. And yeah, look, as a player, and I guess the way that I'm looking at this is through the lens of, I'm not looking at it through the lens of a general manager. I'm not looking through this of the lens as a player agent and a representative, because, like, I think both ways, like you said, both sides have kind of done what is best for them. And in a business like this, you have to do that. Dexter Lawrence knew or thought if he showed up out of shape and was lazy and didn't play hard, that he would let the Giants know that he is unhappy with his contract. I don't necessarily agree with that. Now, as a player, you only have so much leverage, and some of the leverage and some of the chips that you have in the leverage pot is requesting a trade. So I don't fault him for that. Like, it pisses me off because I want what's best for the Giants. I'm a Giants fan a billion times more than a Dexter Lawrence fan, and I would never root for Dexter Lawrence again if he put on another jersey. So I understand the Giants have used their leverage. The Dexter Lawrence camp has used their leverage, and it's gotten us to a point where now it's become a public headline outside of just 1925 Giants drives. So, yeah, I don't think he's going about it the best way possible, but, like, man, it makes me question, what do you want, Dexter Lawrence? Do you actually want to be here? Because that's another discussion. I don't know. I hate these contract disputes and holdouts. It never works well.
It's about anything but football. When
has a contract dispute that was resolved by the team ever worked out?
Like, if it's at this point already, I think you kind of hinted at this with if he gets a new contract, is he just going to be okay and he's just going to smile and be happy? It may be, not saying it's past the point of repair, but when it gets to this point, usually there's already a fracture there, and it's only going to continue to grow the longer this continues to linger and just stay out there. So,
like, are the Giants just going to whimper and bend over and allow Dexter Lawrence to dictate the terms now? Now it's like a full-on, like, it's a spat. Like, they're going to, emotions are clearly involved at this point. And I think you even have to ask the question, does Dexter Lawrence want to be here? And if that answer is not 110% yes, I don't want him here either. He didn't play like he wanted to be here last year. He didn't show up to camp like he wanted to be here last year. He's a good football player. There's no doubt about it. But I have a hard time believing his best days are in front of him. I think there's still good days in front of him. I still think that he could be a top 10 defensive tackle in 2026 and in 2027 and in 2028. But, like, would you rather have a first-round pick and a second-round pick and save that money and then maybe in the offseason go sign another defensive tackle or another corner? Everyone was upset when they traded Odell Beckham Jr. It was the best thing that the Giants could have done. They got Dexter Lawrence for it. They won that trade by far and away. If there's a team out there willing to overpay, you're definitely listening, that's for sure. And I understand that he wants a new deal. And as an NFL player, you got to maximize the cash that you can make in a limited amount of time in your life. But he hasn't. I think he's gone about it the best way. And to do it off a season where he played without max effort and without great production, it sure is a bad time to do it. And the fact that you're not showing up after day one of the John Harbaugh era, that pisses me off. That pisses me off. There's a way to get both things done. And showing that you care more about yourself and your pocket, and I get it, using all the leverage that you can. I don't think it sets the right message for you, and how the Giants respond is going to be an even bigger message sent to the program. So they've got to handle this one delicately, and I'm sure they're talking to teams right now about a potential trade. I don't know. I hate it. Seth, we love you, brother. Thank you. No switch. Blow Shane back at it again. Well, you're supposed to make Dexter Lawrence the highest paid defensive tackle after a terrible season where he didn't show up in shape, didn't play hard through injury. If there was an injury, was there an injury? And wasn't a leader. What, you think they should pay him right now? I'm not begging for the Giants to pay him. Like, I would like for a deal to get done. And the reason I want a deal to get done is because I want all this BS to go away. I want the distractions to go away. But I've been around the block a couple times, and big paydays don't always just... Big paydays are like bandages over for an open wound. They're not stitches. They're a bandage. You think Myles Garrett still wants to be a Brown? No, Myles Garrett would love to be traded right now. He doesn't care about the money that the Browns just gave him. I get it. Losing like that takes a toll. But you're the what did John Harbaugh say? You're the center stone of this defense, who respectfully has been the worst run defense in NFL history over the last 4 years. Historically. Like, I don't know. I think both people are to blame, and I'm all for talking shit about Joe Schoen, because he didn't even know that Dexter Lawrence wanted a contract, and he didn't even know that there was a chance he couldn't be on the team next year. Wasn't aware. Didn't understand the question, maybe. Mike G, what's up, my man? Marsh, you're a stud. Appreciate you and all you do for us Giants fans. Hope you had a great Easter, my friend. Mike G, we love you, brother. Thank you for being here. Thank you for always supporting the channel. You're a real one, Brody. Fish on J, we don't need players that don't want to be a Giant. Trade his ass, get premium picks. I'm not going to push back on anyone that's saying that. If you can get the Quinnen Williams trade, like, how do you say no? How do you say no? You think the Jets regret the Quinnen Williams trade?
No shot. They're sitting on a massive pile of draft capital because of some other trades as well, but the Giants, this is a headache for the Giants, and it's going to continue to be a headache unless there's a resolution one way or the other.
And are we sure a contract issue it's done? All of it's done? Is it going to just request a trade this time next year if the Giants aren't good?
It sets a bad precedent. I think, I remember, like, this is a long time back, but Darrelle Revis had his contract torn up and redone with the Jets, and I feel like he did that every offseason. And like you said, once you set that precedent, it's going to just encourage the player. It's going to encourage him to do it again. It's going to encourage other guys to do it. And the Giants are trying to change the vibe, the culture, and just kind of the feeling inside that building from what many people called it a country club under the previous regime. And they're trying to get John Harbaugh in place to kind of correct all that, get everything straightened out, and get all the distractions out of the building and make it all about football. And there is a business to football, but there's, like you said, there's a way to handle and go about your business, and there's a way to not do it. And this is... like, if we're talking about something that doesn't have to do with football, you're not handling it in the right way, per se. And I think, shout out to Fish on Jay. I think this next super chat kind of just lays it out as well. Dace.
What up, Brody? Appreciate the love as always. Thank you for being here. Shout out to all 820 people in the chat. We're 40 likes away from 300 likes. Everybody could hit that thumbs up icon. Would really, really appreciate it. And if you have liked the video, type me in the chat so I know who the real ones are. What's up, bro? Dex made a business decision asking to be traded. No harm. Front office needs to just match that. There's not a team in the NFL that would push away an offer of 2 first-round picks for Dexter Lawrence. I think without a doubt the Giants should do it. 2 first-round picks, a first-round pick this year and a first-round pick next year. Yeah, you get to add 4 players over the next 2 years in the first round. Even if you hit on only 75% of those. Like, those are franchise-altering, like, chips. And I know this time of year, the thing that everyone does is overvalue first-round picks and overvalue draft picks. No doubt about it. This is a time of year where those get overvalued. But if you get a first-round pick this year and a first-round pick next year, yeah, I think you have to do it at this point.
Yeah, and all that does is gives you flexibility as well. Like they may add a player this year, and they may decide they want to use that for future first potentially to trade. Or when you talk about hitting on a first-round pick, you're getting a high-level starting caliber player, and hopefully a guy that makes an instant impact as well. So that you may say, oh, you're just trading away Dexter Lawrence to hope to get a guy as good as Dexter Lawrence, but if you get multiple first-round picks, you're not necessarily getting a guy as good as Dexter Lawrence, but two guys that are really good, make a big impact on this team, and are cheap and controllable for 5 years in the future, whereas Dex is going to be now making whatever he's looking for in his new contract is high-level money, top of his position, and he is only one player. And we've seen what he can do as one player. Even when he's played extremely well, the Giants still has a defense have struggled to stop the run. Despite all that he's done, no one would say Dexter Lawrence was a bad player over the last couple of years, and the Giants, the results still weren't there for the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think even if a team offered a first and a second-round pick this year, the Giants would take it. Are there any? How many players on this team would you not trade for a first and second-round pick? I don't think you can get to 7. DM Forever, what's up, my man? How about trade him for a second in McKinney? Why would you? No. So you're going to pay Xavier McKinney, you're going to pay Javon Holland, and then you're only going to get a second-round pick back for Dexter Lawrence? I would be shocked if there's a trade for Dex where it is another player coming to this team that is highly paid. I think the Giants would rather have the flexibility of draft picks to either pick players they want or then trade those players for people that they actually want. I don't think a high-priced player-for-player trade is all that likely. And I don't even know if that's what I would want to do. I think picks is what I would be wanting to go after at this point. But we'll see what the Giants do. Appreciate you, DM Forever. Mr. Gorilla, what's up, Brody? When are you going to release a new shirt? We did just release a new shirt, my man. What do you want us to trade Dexter Lawrence shirts? We just released a new one, an Abdul Carter shirt. Changed his number from 51 to number 3. I know a lot of people are upset that he changed his number because they already got his jersey, and jerseys can be extremely expensive. So if you want to have a T-shirt that represents Abdul Carter with his new jersey while also supporting the Chat Sports brand, it's chatsports.com/AC3, doing his famous sack pose and the Darth Vader helmet as well. It's chatsports.com/AC3. Another way to support the channel while also showing love for Abdul Carter. Anyone that buys the shirt today, we'll give you a shout out on the show. Appreciate you, Mr. Gorilla. No switch. Brian Thomas Jr., a first and a second. It's a good offer. I don't think that you could really necessarily say no to that. Are the Jags in the camp where they want to make another all-in move, kind of like they did last year to move up from, 5 to 2
they don't even
for
have
Travis Hunter?
They don't even have their first this year.
Yeah, so maybe it's BTJ, their second-round pick next year, and a first next year. If I'm having to wait for that first-round pick, I would want a player that included with a second-round pick. But we just saw Quinnen Williams go for a first, a second, and a player that was drafted in the first less than 3 years ago. And I think they are very comparable players. I think Dexter Lawrence's highs have been higher than Quinnen Williams. But I think that is kind of where the negotiations start for the Giants. So that's what I would be looking at this point. Last 4 seasons, numbers are pretty comparable. Quinnen Williams has played more games over that time. I think it was 4 more games. I had that scripted out. 64 games played for Quinnen Williams at this point. 61 games for Dexter Lawrence. Numbers are close. Numbers say, though, that Quinnen Williams has been better over the last 4 years, also over the last 3 years, numbers-wise. But they are a little bit different in a way. Dex mainly lines up at the nose. Quinnen Williams kind of lines up more as like a 3 tech and a 5 tech playing elsewhere. But first and a second, and a player that went in the first round for him, I think it's something that the Giants should be asking for if they are serious about honoring that trade request. That's what I'd be trying to get back at this point. And trading Dexter Lawrence, or excuse me, giving a contract extension to Dexter Lawrence right now would actually create more cap space for the Giants in 2026. So we'll see. We'll see. Nacho Libre, what up, my man? I said last year he wanted out. It clearly showed. Yeah, I don't know if it's necessarily he wanted out last year as much as he wanted a new contract and a lot more money guaranteed. But I'm sure, like, how many times did we talk about quotes post-game over the last 2 years about Dexter Lawrence sounding like someone who wasn't all that bought into in being a New York Giant? So I'm not going to push back that he didn't want to be here last year. He didn't play like it. That's for sure. Appreciate you, Nacho. Tyler Wright, what's up, my man? Trade Dex to Cincy for the 10th and T. Higgins. I don't think that they would offer a 10th and T. Higgins. Is there a way that you can get the 10th pick and then maybe a third-round pick or something like that? I reached out to our guy, Billy Beebe, who covers the Cincinnati Bengals here at Chat Sports. He told me he doesn't see them trading the number 10 overall pick, so I asked him to send an offer that he thought the Bengals could make. He sent, without trading their first-round pick this year, Shamar Stewart, who was a first-round pick last year, pick number 41, and a future first-round pick. I think it's a pretty good offer. I just would prefer to get a first-round pick this year. I guess you could theoretically look at that as Shamar Stewart is the first-round pick, but I'm not that high on Shamar Stewart, and he kind of plays a position that you're already kind of deep at.
Yeah, and I mean, what about, I was thinking about this when I saw this, just because they don't want to necessarily give up that 10th pick. Do you think they're a potential swap of the Giants' second-round pick and their first at number 10 would be a potential workaround to not getting that first-round pick this year? Maybe they don't give the 27 first. Instead, you just kind of, the Giants move up from the early second round to that mid-first round. I know it's a steep price to pay, but that way they still kind of keep that draft capital, add a rookie player, but Giants get to kind of go up into that first round.
Be pretty cool to walk out of draft potentially with Sonny Styles and Caleb Downs.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty sweet. Look, they're I'm sure they've been talking about well, unless Joe Schoen just doesn't know what's actually going on, like he said he doesn't.
He was probably late to that meeting like he was to the press conference, so he missed that Dexter Lawrence trade discussion. That's why he didn't know where it came from, but yeah. Shout out to you, Tyler.
Appreciate you, Tyler. W, what's up, man? WD's for the best. I wanted to trade him regardless of so you want to trade him regardless, didn't care about the request today. I think his best days are behind him. Trade him to the Titans for Simmons and a pick. Well, Brian Dable and Dexter Lawrence reportedly aren't really on good terms, so I don't think the Titans would necessarily be a trade destination.
They also have,
and they probably think that Simmons is a better player than Dexter Lawrence at this point.
I think he's cheap, or he's like around the same, but under contract at a lower number than probably what Dex is going to want.
Appreciate you. EJ Ramirez, what up, my man? Is it wrong of me to be okay with the trade for draft capital? And it makes me laugh that he's got the New York tattoo as a bonus since he's publicly doing all this. LOL, love you guys. Where's my poster? I'm not really sure what that means.
I think he won the Dart poster, so we'll check on that for you, EJ. The one that we raffled off.
Yeah, I kind of just assumed that was taken care of. Is it wrong of me to be okay with the trade? No, I don't think anyone would be upset if the Giants traded Dexter Lawrence for a first and second round pick. Like, It's a lot of ammunition. So, yeah. For the poster, yeah, we'll look into that. I kind of thought that was already done at this point. Appreciate you, EJ. Marco, what's up, man? Would you pay him $30 to $35 million per year you think he accepts? Pull up the top 10 highest paid defensive tackles if you can. I think this kind of puts some color to the picture. This year, Dexter Lawrence is making $20 million, which makes him the 12th highest paid defensive tackle in the league. Like, who's better, Chris Jones or Dexter Lawrence? Well, if we're going off last year, it's Chris Jones. Milton Williams or Dexter Lawrence? Like, I'm sure Dex is looking at Milton Williams and Jordan Davis and Zach Allen getting paid all over the last year and a half, and he probably feels he's better than all of them. Well, you haven't been better than Zach Allen. Milton Williams was a key piece of that Eagles defensive line that won them a Super Bowl, then was a key piece on the defensive line of the Patriots who got them to a Super Bowl. Jordan Davis, I think Dexter Lawrence is better than Jordan Davis, but one player is also, 23 years old in Davis, and Dexter Lawrence is 28 years old? Nnamdi Madubuike out of the Baltimore Ravens? What does John Harbaugh think? Does John think that Madubuike is better than Dexter Lawrence? Got to see him up close and personal. Aleem McNeil had a devastating injury last year. Like Derek Brown, we showed you the side-by-side numbers of the last 4 years between Quinnen Williams and Dexter Lawrence. And while I think that Dexter Lawrence is a better player, the numbers say that Quinnen Williams' counting stats have been better. Jeffrey Simmons, I think Simmons over the last handful of years has been better than Dexter Lawrence. And then DeForest Buckner, I think Dex is considerably better than him as well. So I'm sure that he wants to be a part of this graphic. I'm sure he probably wants to be around where Quinnen Williams got his new deal done and around Jordan Davis. And do I want to pay Dexter Lawrence $26, $27, $28 million? I'm not against it, but I need to know if they are paying him that money, that he's all bought in, he's about business, he's going to show up on time, and I need to have a really strong belief that there's no more further injuries coming for that elbow. Like, if you think Dexter Lawrence is still ascending as a player, I don't think you should have any problem with paying him that money. But if you think there's any descending nature in his game, I can't pay him that much money. I can't.
And listen, nobody should know that better than the Giants there. He's in the building every year. He should be in the building. No one's worked on his elbow more than their doctors. They should have the best understanding of what Dexter Lawrence's future should look like from a production, from a health standpoint, and maybe if they're not willing to pay him what he thinks he's worth, that could be telling on where he's at and what his career may hold. And maybe they're wrong because they've been wrong before, but they should know. So shout out to Marco. Tomato 2235. I love Dex, and I think he has great days in front of him, but this is a make-or-break situation for Joe Schoen. If he messes up with another dumb contract or horrible trade, it has to be over for him, and it should be over already.
Appreciate this $50 super chat, my man. Really, really do appreciate that. Thank you for the very, very generous contribution. Yeah, and who's handling the trade negotiations? Are we expecting John Harbaugh to be calling teams and doing all that? No, that's not what he is, and that's why I was so get Joe Schoen out of the building, because now you're letting him or Don Aponte handle this, and I don't know if Joe Schoen is the guy that I want making decisions about Dexter Lawrence and whether he's going to be on the team for X amount of money or what the draft value he is going to get back. And I think one thing we've learned under Joe Schoen is he is a hard line negotiator. Like, He wouldn't go past the number that he wanted to for Dexter Lawrence. He wouldn't go past the number that he wanted to for Saquon Barkley or for Julian Love. And all three of those aren't really looking like the best moves that the New York Giants have made. I think the process, and I'll stand by what I said on the day it happened, I think the process of the Saquon Barkley negotiations were somewhat right, and I kind of understood the idea and thought the process of not paying him was A-okay. But just because you do the process right doesn't mean the results are always going to follow. And you gifted your rival an NFL championship. So I don't have the most faith in Joe Schoen to get this right. And now you're having to ask the question of, does John Harbaugh get involved? What is Donna Ponte's role in all this? It's a mess. And this is why I didn't just believe hiring John Harbaugh and reducing Joe Schoen's workload was going to be A-okay, because who's handling the negotiations now? Who's handling the calls with other GMs? You trade a third-round pick for Darren Waller. You don't have that great of a history. I'm with you, Tomato. Yeah, like, what are you going to do if he messes this up? I don't know. It's not a great spot to be in, that's for sure. That's for sure. Thank you, man. Thank you. $50 super chat. You the man. Thomas, Joakim Noah, what's up, Brody? Simple like John Harbaugh said, if someone does not want to be here, they won't be a part of the team. Right, Joe? How does, and I get it, you only have so many ways to use your leverage as a player. And I just find it funny that the leverage that Dexter Lawrence is playing is, I'm not going to be there for day one of John Harbaugh addressing the team. And I'm going to ask for a trade because you wouldn't pay me coming off the worst season of my career where it seemed like an injury may have been holding you back again. I don't know. Maybe I'm the clown for thinking that if you showed up in shape, ready to go, all in, above and beyond, that would equal a payday. Maybe I'm the clown for believing that, but I think that might have been a better pathway than not showing up for day one of John Harbaugh and doing so off your worst season in the NFL, where you're once again looked like limited by an elbow and didn't give the best effort possible and had an open spat with Carl Banks in public.
Yeah, franchise legend who covers the team works closely with the team. Not a great look there. So we'll see. Like, it's fascinating because of the fact that it's the first, like you said, the first kind of big thing for John Harbaugh as the coach of the Giants, and what kind of message does he want to send to the rest of the team, the organization, the rest of the league, and how things are going to be run with John Harbaugh as a coach of the New York Giants. And like, he's going to see if he's going to put his money where his mouth was, with what he said in his introductory press conference. So,
EJ, what's up, my man? So we're letting Dexter Lawrence go and keeping Evan. That is the most extreme way to look at this. I'm sorry. I'm taking a break from watching football and start playing. Hopefully you don't stub your toe, my man. The Giants have paid Evan Neal $0 since they've signed him. I get it. No one's happy right now, but I think this is a little unfair to say.
on the surface, yeah, if you just look at it like that, obviously, but it's a layered situation. Zero guaranteed dollars, Evan Neal, and like
Evan Neal showed that he wanted to be here more than Dexter Lawrence. He's willing to fight for a chance to make this team for zero guaranteed dollars. Dexter Lawrence, day one of John Harbaugh, doesn't feel the need to show up.
Yeah, and there is still the chance that like Dexter Lawrence is still a member of this team. Like there is a possibility that he could get. They can rework his contract, extend him, change, and give him more money. That's not like maybe it's not the most likely scenario right now, but he is still currently a member of the Giants.
Appreciate you, EJ. JCK, what up, man? He soft trade him during the draft immediately. Yeah, I mean they're They're probably weighing all options right now. Probably weighing all options, seeing what's out there, and
do you think that it's a possibility that like this kind of comes to a head at the NFL, during the NFL draft, and that's kind of like a timeline and like a soft deadline for a potential trade, or just kind of discussing, not like saying one way or the other, but obviously could be a situation where the Giants are talking to an interested team and they see a guy they want on the clock at a certain pick, and that kind of could cause them to pull the trigger. Whereas otherwise they might want to wait. But I guess if they're looking for that first-round capital this year, it would have to happen by the NFL draft. So,
yeah, I feel like if you're going to trade him, it would be a better outcome for the Giants if you do it today, tomorrow, 5 minutes before the NFL draft. I would like for a deal to be done by the time we get to day 2 of the NFL draft. Unless someone's going to offer you pick 33 and a first-round pick next year. Even then, I don't really love that. But, yeah, I think that's definitely a date on this Dexter Lawrence saga. That's a very important one. Because if you trade Dexter Lawrence in June and you don't have the ammunition that you get back to improve the team this year, that's not great.
you're just subtracting. You're not adding anything. And despite not his best year last year, you're subtracting a significant piece from this team.
Yep, I agree. It's me. What's up, Brody? I said it last year we should trade Dex. Oh, well. Yeah. I mean, so yeah, it's not great. Not great. Did they miss their window to get the most back? We'll find out. We will find out. Appreciate you, Brody. Mason, send Dexter Lawrence to Kayvon Thibodeau to Baltimore, get a first and a second. We just saw them kind of how they handled a big-time trade. I'm not sure that's an organization you really want to deal with.
They also then invested money in the defensive line, signed Trey Hendrickson to a big deal, obviously.
And they're paying Matabuke. Like,
so
I don't think that they're the most likely destination. And
it would even be kind of weird, John Harbaugh,
Baltimore
trade outside of the whole Crosby thing. So,
yeah, I'm not sure that is the best idea. We'll see, though. Crazy things happen all the time, Mason. They really, really do. Appreciate everybody being here. 900 people in the building. If you haven't yet, hit that thumbs up icon. Marty Malela, $50 super chat. What up, Marty? How you doing, my man? I was napping after dialysis. It's not a dream. It's not a dream. Dexter Lawrence has requested a trade, Marty Malela. I hope you're doing all right.
shout out to you, Marty.
Man. I don't know. Very, very interesting. Very interesting. Like, what's... We'll see. See Darrow Clark's comment in there?
Yes.
Marty, we love you, brother.
Darrow, DM me on Twitter, and I can look into that for you. I'm going to have to circle back with our shipping department and figure out what's going on with this stuff. But DM me on Twitter.
Alex says whoever's saying trade Dex is dumb. I don't necessarily agree with that. I wouldn't agree with that. Imagine a team gives you a first and a second round pick. Team offers you 2 first round picks. You're not going to go for it. I don't agree with that.
Got you, Yildiz. Got you. just.
Are we all caught up?
Yeah, we're caught.
Yeah, let's jump into the trade stuff. I'm going to do some trade ideas as well as some trade destinations for Dexter Lawrence. Just do it at the end. I just put it in there. All right. About to get into some trade ideas and trade destinations for Dexter Lawrence. I reached out here at Chat Sports. We cover all 32 NFL teams. I reached out to everybody, all 32, and asked them if your team would be interested in trading for Dexter Lawrence with a serious offer and then to submit your offer. So we're going to go over those on today's show. All right, let's do it. Dexter Lawrence has officially requested a trade from the New York Giants, and on today's show, we're going to go over the top destinations and some trade ideas for Sexy Dexy. Before we do that, though, I want to hear from all the real ones in the comments section. If you were the one making the call for the Giants, what would you do with Dexter Lawrence? Would you trade him or would you extend him? Let me know. This is New York Giants Now by Chat Sports. I am your host, Marshall Green. I appreciate everybody for clicking on today's show. And of course, as we are about 18 hours away from day one of the John Harbaugh era as voluntary workouts open up tomorrow, we've got a distraction and a big one. Dexter Lawrence wants a new contract, and it has been reported that the Giants have not met him where he is expecting his money, and he has since requested a trade. So let's start with this. Dexter Lawrence is slotted to make $20 million in 2026 cash and $19.5 million cash in 2027. That would make him the 12th highest paid defensive tackle in 2026 and the 13th highest paid defensive tackle in 2027. You look at the top 10 highest paid defensive linemen on average annual value, and he comes in at about 12th for a deal that he signed back in 2023. I'm sure he saw what Milton Williams and Jordan Davis and Aleem McKeel and Quinnen Williams all have gotten paid over the last 36 months. And obviously, he feels that he deserves that exact type of payday. In the spring of 2023, Dexter Lawrence signed a 4-year, $87 million contract with the New York Giants, including $22 million in signing bonus, $60 million guaranteed, and an average annual value of $21.8 million. In 2026, Dexter Lawrence will earn a base salary of $18.5 million with a workout bonus of $500,000 while carrying a cap hit of $26.9 million. At the time that deal was signed, it was still somewhat of a great deal for the Giants. Dex probably thought that he outperformed that contract in his first year after signing it. And look, he played really well in 2022 and in 2023 and in 2024. But he did not play well last year. And I don't even want to say he didn't play well for his standards. Like, I didn't think Dexter Lawrence was that impactful of a football player this past year. And one of the main reasons he probably wants to get paid and get a new deal is because there is technically no more guaranteed money on his deal. But after you just put up a half a sack season, you haven't had a full sack in more than 22 games, your pressures per game was low. Like, to not show up on day one of John Harbaugh and demand a contract after your worst season in the NFL and now demand a trade, you are a bold, bold man, Dexter Lawrence. One thing about the Giants is they don't have much money left this year, and that's what they want you to believe, which is the salary cap propaganda of the New York Giants want you to believe. I've said it once, I've said it twice, I've said it 1,000 times. The salary cap is fake. Don't believe anything the Giants say if they don't have money, because they have plenty of money. They have nearly $258 million in cap space in 2028, 16th most in the NFL. They've got money in 2027 that they could use. And if you were to extend Dexter Lawrence, you could technically lower his cap hit this year, create more money this year, and then eat into 2027 and 2028 to keep him on this team. Absolutely something I think they should be looking into is a contract extension for Dexter Lawrence. And I think right now it truly is 50-50 of whether they do extend the 28-year-old nose tackle or they go and trade him and try to get a haul back, which I think would be draft pick focused. But if you don't have Dexter Lawrence, you have arguably the worst defensive tackle room in the National Football League. And I could argue that you already had the worst defensive tackle room in the NFL with Dexter Lawrence on this team. Like Roy Robertson-Harris, Darius Alexander, who I'm hoping has a big year too, Elijah Chapman, Sam Roberts. Like, you got a bunch of Jags, just guys, just a bunch of guys in that room. And there have been a lot of moments over the last 3 years where Dexter Lawrence has made a big-time impact. Shout out to Warren Sharp, says, Dexter Lawrence's impact the last 3 years off the field. When he wasn't on the field, the Giants gave up the most yards per attempt. I'm guessing that's rushing in the National Football League. They had the second worst pressure rate, the second worst pass defense success, the third worst EPA per pass, and the third worst sack rate. When he was on the field, they had the number 8 pass success, number 8 sack rate, top 10 in EPA per pass, top 13 in yards per YPA yards per attempt, I'm guessing rushing, and number 15 pressure rate. And there's no doubt about it. Even as mad as I am today about Dexter Lawrence, I know how impactful he is, and he deserves more money. But Dexter Lawrence has also been the focal point of this defense. A defense since 2022 has allowed the most rushing yards in the NFL and the most yards per attempt in the NFL. Shout out to Justin Pennica talking Giants. Tweeted out, Giants allowed 5.2 yards per play when Dexter Lawrence was on the field in 2025. They allowed 6.7 yards per play when he was off of it. So a major difference, a yard and a half difference. Allowing almost double the EPA per play is crazy too. The Giants desperately need more interior defensive line help. And that's why even if you do extend Dexter Lawrence, you still need to go out and make more moves. The numbers say the Giants are better without him, and anyone that would say the Giants are better without Dexter Lawrence is just wrong. And Dexter Lawrence is still a good football player, and that is why I believe the Giants are going to trade him and not give him that contract extension. You should be looking at the calling that the Mozzie Smith deal is funny. The Quinnen Williams trade that landed Williams in Dallas, where the Jets got back a first-round pick in 2027, a second-round pick in 2026, and Mozzie Smith, a defensive tackle, who was a first-round pick. When you compare the last 4 seasons of Dexter Lawrence versus Quinnen Williams, they're comparable. I think Dexter Lawrence is a better player than Quinnen Williams, but Williams is better technically in every single counting stat. And there's so much more that goes into counting stats. Brian Dunleavy is reporting that an NFL source has told him that the Giants should be looking for the package via the trade package, a similar comp that Quinnen Williams netted for the Jets because, quote, he's a better player. So it starts there. So I honestly do believe that the Giants wouldn't make a deal unless they were getting back a first-round pick. So I reached out to all other 31 hosts here at Chat Sports that cover the NFL and certain teams. And I asked them, are your teams interested? And if so, send an offer in. Let's look at it. Let's talk about it and keep it I would say, relative to what the Jets got back for Quinnen Williams. So, Jeremy Chugs, who hosts our Texans channel, said, what about a first-round pick this year, number 28 overall, a third-round pick this year, number 69 overall, and for some reason he threw in Cade Stover as well. I don't think that this is the worst deal that you could get for Quinnen Williams, Dexter Lawrence, but this isn't something that I'm absolutely jumping at to go and get. I would like to keep it close to a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and someone that was once a premium investment like Mozzie Smith was. Patrick Seatman, who covers the Minnesota Vikings, sent in a trade where number 18 overall and number 82 overall. A little bit higher of a pick in round 1 relative to that Texans trade, but a little bit lower of a pick in round 3. Am I going to be shocked if we wake up one day and it's a first and a third round pick for Dexter Lawrence? No, but I'm a Giants fan and I'm greedy and I want them to get the most capital back. Billy Beebe, who covers the Cincinnati Bengals, told me I don't see them trading pick number 10 in the 2025 NFL draft. So he sent an idea of trading the second round pick that the Bengals own to the Giants, number 41 overall, a future first round pick, and Shamar Stewart, who the Bengals drafted last year in the first round, who took forever to sign his deal, then had some injuries and then some other stuff and a whole lot of hoopla. I think this is pretty comparable to what the New York Jets got back for Quinnen Williams, but I would probably rather a trade that nets a first-round pick this year. Is there a deal that the Giants could work out to where the Bengals fall from pick 10 to pick 37? Giants send Dexter Lawrence in 37 to the Bengals, and the Giants get a 10th overall pick and maybe a future second-round pick. I don't know, but I would want a first-round pick this year, but I don't think this is the worst offer in the world. My guy Will Ortner, who covers the Los Angeles Chargers here at Chat Sports, sent a trade where it was first-round pick this year, third-round pick this year, and Quentin Johnson, a former first-round pick receiver. I think it's a pretty good offer. I think this is comparable to that Quinnen Williams deal that we talked about. I think this is pretty close to what it could cost. And then Jackson Durham, who covers the Kansas City Chiefs here at Chat Sports, sent in, what about a first-round pick this year, number 30 overall, a third-round pick this year, number 74 overall. 30 is not a perfect spot. I think that is a little bit low. I'd like to pick a little bit higher than that. But that is what they have offered. So now that we've gone through 4 or 5 trades that kind of put some color to the picture of what a trade could net the New York Giants, I want to ask you this question again. What would you do with the Dexter Lawrence situation? We've shown you some trades. Would you trade him? Would you change your mind, or would you give him that contract extension, as we have also showed you what the top guys at his position are being paid? I guess I look at it like this. If you can get 2 first-round picks, no hesitation, I'm doing it. And if you can get a first and a second-round pick this year, I put some serious thought into it. But at the end of the day, I would rather have Dexter Lawrence on this team than not. Big if here, he's healthy. He's motivated. He wants to be here. And you believe that there are still really good days ahead of him as a football player, and that elbow injury is no longer going to be a future problem. But if we're going to do this same song and dance in 365 days because the Giants aren't very good and you just don't want to be here, then no. So I need you all in, Dexter Lawrence. I need you fully healthy. I need you to act like a captain on this team. I need you to show up in shape. You were overweight all year last year. Everyone saw it. So I need you 100% in. I need this to be stitches on an open wound, this contract stuff, not just a Band-Aid, because I can tell you this, Myles Garrett still wishes he was traded. So you better want to be here. You better be in shape. You better be fully healthy. No future injuries coming from the elbow. And I need to know that your best days, or some of your best days, are still in front of you. And this is also contingent on what the trade offers are out there. Again, 2 first-round picks, I'll drive you to LaGuardia, my man. First and a second, let's see. At the end of the day, I just don't like this. I don't like the cloud. I don't like the baggage. I don't like the problem. I don't like the BS. And it personally pisses me off that Dexter Lawrence was out of shape last year. His effort sucked last year. And now he thinks he's going to strong-arm the New York Giants into a contract in year one of John Harbaugh and not show up on day one of the John Harbaugh era. That doesn't sit right with me at all. It doesn't. It doesn't at all. Make sure you are following me on social media. If we get any more updates on Dexter Lawrence, first place you'll hear about it is on my Twitter and Instagram. So give me a follow at @MarshallGreen_. We have a poll. Should the Giants trade Dexter Lawrence? 1,600 people have voted. 53% say yes.
AP, could this be money, or do you think he's sick of wasting his career? He had a down year, but he's still an anchor for us on defense. Hopefully we can get a deal done. Still think a first-round pick plus does it.
Yeah, the NFL is going to tell the Giants how good Dexter Lawrence is. And Dexter Lawrence is about to find out how good he is in the eyes of the NFL.
So I did a community post as well. That has 57% of people saying extend him over trade him. 3,000 votes. So
almost 50-50.
Pretty close, yeah.
A lot of people in the chat were typing their E's for extension. It's hard to say because you don't know what the trade package is, but I can only speak for myself here. If his team offers 2 first-round picks, you have to do it.
Yeah.
You have to do it.
I think that makes sense. I mean, you look at, like you said, we went down the list of the 10 guys, and I think he's in the ballpark and better than a lot of those guys. He's in that group and deserves to be in that group. And that's like to this point, and you even consider what he did last year, but this is what he's going to be paid in future years. Like you said, you have to pay him for what his future production is going to be. And if the Giants don't believe, whether that's Joe Schoen, John Harbaugh, whoever it is, Giants as an organization, whether we like it or not, they are all involved in that decision-making process, and they are a team. It is a New York, not a single decision gets made one or the other. It's a New York Giants decision, and if the Giants don't think Dexter Lawrence is going to be a top 10 defensive tackle for the years going forward, then I don't think they're going to sign him to a big-time extension.
Yeah. We'll see. We're going to find out how good the NFL thinks Dexter Lawrence is. So I have a hard time believing the Giants would turn away 2 first-round picks, and I think they would absolutely do it for 2 first-round picks, and I think they would have a hard time turning away a first and a second, maybe even a first and a third. I think they might even do it for that, especially if it's this year. Malicious Zero, what's up, my man? Shout out to you, AP. Appreciate you, bro. All I worry about with releasing bigger players on the team, well, it wouldn't be releasing. It's not releasing. It would be a trade. This would be the Giants would be getting something back. Another Saquon situation, that was embarrassing. Not saying it'll be the same, but yeah, I love your videos. Yeah, look, it's already a bad look for the Giants. Once again, the Giants and the Joe Schoen ownership or front office group haven't been able to make their best players Giants for life. I think that's something to monitor. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to end, but it's going to be something to follow. That's for sure. That's for sure. I can promise you there's probably already been 15 teams that have called the Giants about what the offer is. And if they're a good run organization, they would tell teams 2 first-round picks gets it done. That's what they should do. That's the starting point. Edwin, what's up, my man? I have a feeling not only has Dex not talked to coach about contracts, but also the last 2 years he was dragging his feet due to contracts. Well, yeah, at the NFL Combine, John Harbaugh John Harbaugh said that he has not seen Dexter Lawrence. He said they've talked, but they did not talk face to face. And I don't necessarily know if that is required, if they need to talk face to face. But
tells you he's not in the building.
Yeah, definitely not in the building. That's for sure. So, I mean, Joe Schoen said it at the NFL Combine. He was asked if Dexter Lawrence is definitely going to be on the team next year. He says, I don't know where that came from. So, there was that. Then he was asked if Dex has expressed a desire for a new contract, and Joe Schoen says he has not. Those conversations haven't been had. So, I don't know. Big Trez, what up, man? Is this just about money or new contract stuff, new coaching staff, and changes? Dex has the New York Giant tattoo, would like to think he wants more money, or is he really unhappy? Why now? Why now is because off-season workouts start tomorrow. And he and his agent probably feel like this is their opportunity to make a power play and use the little leverage that they have. I think it's a combination of everything. I'm sure he's tired of losing. I think the tattoo is that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant. And Kadarius Toney had a Giants tattoo at one point. Odell Beckham had a Giants tattoo at one point. I don't know. I really don't. If it was about money, he would show up tomorrow because he gets $500,000 if he does.
Yeah, could be deeper at this point. Like you said, it's kind of been festering for a few seasons at this point with the unhappiness with his contract and the lack of movement on a new deal ever since he signed that first extension. So,
what's up, Edwin? Dex wants money and gets it. He then complains over being jumped over in a contract. Dex wants money and gets it.
Like, he wanted an extension the first time he signed it, and then he signed it. And now
that was like how long ago, though? I don't understand how that's relevant. Right? 2023. It's 2026. Also, he was coming off his rookie deal. Of course he would want an extension. Every player in the NFL wants an extension who's produced coming off his rookie year. So I don't necessarily think that has any relation to it. And shortly jumped over 2023, 2024, 2025. He's played 3 years on that deal. Signed a 5-year deal. How many people that sign 5-year deals play all 5 years before there's a new deal? Right? Like, so I'm not in lockstep with you there. What I will say is the last sentence that you're saying is definitely a fear of mine. What happens if we pay him and it happens again? That's my biggest concern. Like, I need to know that if I sign you to a contract extension, there's no more of this showing up out of shape. There's no more half-assing it during the regular season. There's no more missing voluntary workouts, all of that. But again, are we dealing with a paper cut and we're going to put a Band-Aid on it? Or are we dealing with an open wound gash that needs stitches and we're going to put a Band-Aid on that's going to just reopen, get infected, and we're going to have to readdress it again in 24 months? I don't know. Appreciate you, Edwin. Kyle, what's up, my man? $50 super chat. Shout out to Mr. Purpura. You the man, Brody. Thank you. I was a little pissed at Dexter Lawrence at the timing. I'm definitely answering the phone. Offers for a first and a second, third, I'd take it. First and a third, I obviously would like a little bit more, but again, like, I also think these like trade negotiations are going to tell you how much you should pay Dexter Lawrence as well. Like if teams are only offering a second and a fourth, why am I giving Dexter Lawrence a contract extension?
Yeah,
the offers other teams are sending you are telling you how good he is.
Like if it's almost a way of like finding out if he's a free agent and like how desired he is by other teams. Obviously, the Giants may not know directly like what they would pay him salary-wise, but in terms of how coveted he is by other teams and how interested they are in acquiring him. Also, in all likelihood, knowing they'd have to pay him a big contract as well. So if a team is that interested, knowing they have to pay him a lot of money in sending that draft capital, that shows you he is valued. We'll see. I think like it's more likely they get a 1 and change than 2 1s, but I think, like you said, the right move is to set the bar high in that trade negotiation, ask for 2 1s. If a team's willing to give it, awesome. And then it's just with whatever offers do trickle in, whether it's a 1 and a 2 and a 1 and a 3, and the Giants deciding where those picks are, how they like the players that they can get with those picks potentially in the draft, and knowing they're cost controlled and cheap, and whether or not how much they probably know from Dex's camp how much they want in a new contract, and evaluating that as well. So
Appreciate you, Kyle. $50 super chat. You're a legend, brother. Thank you. Edwin, Tennessee. I don't think the Tennessee Titans are trading for Dexter Lawrence. I don't think so. David, what's up, man? Let's trade with the Browns. They get Dexter Lawrence. We get a 2026 first, second, and Myles Garrett. That would never happen. Yeah, I would do that in a heartbeat, but Myles Garrett is a significantly better player than Dexter Lawrence.
just, I think, broke the sack record this past year, right? So edges, interior D linemen are important, but edge is considered a higher value position.
And he's way better than him.
Yeah. So, I mean, arguably the best.
Teams are offering 3 first-round picks for Myles Garrett, and the Browns are still saying no.
Yeah.
They're not even in the same tier of players.
So
Dexter Lawrence makes $20 million, and what Myles Garrett makes 40?
40 plus.
It's not even close. You're not even the Giants. I don't even think the Browns would accept a trade of Dexter Lawrence and a first-round pick for Myles Garrett. 5 and Dexter Lawrence doesn't get you Myles Garrett. 5.37 and Dexter Lawrence doesn't get you Myles Garrett. So, not even close.
Let's go.
Do we? No, we don't. I don't. I don't think anyone should.
Absolutely not.
And that's why he should have been fired, even though he hired John Harbaugh.
Right, Joe?
No one is saying Dexter Lawrence sucks, but you're comparing him to a unanimous first ballot Hall of Famer in Myles Garrett. And I don't even think Dexter Lawrence thinks he's as good as Myles Garrett. Semi-disrespectful to even put them in the same breath. You know, the Giants thought Dexter Lawrence was as good as Myles Garrett. They would extend him.
They would be they would be entertaining trade offers. Shout out to everyone locked in with us. If you have not yet hit that thumbs up icon, if you're enjoying this coverage of the Dexter Lawrence trade, news, rumors, request, subscribe to the channel. We're at 104,541 subs. We appreciate every single one of you guys who watches, likes, comments, subscribes, helps us do our job. So if you're enjoying it, lock us in for more coverage like this, videos, live shows, watch parties for every single Giants game.
New York Post, Paul Schwartz says, I think you can get a first-round pick for Dexter Lawrence.
Better hope.
I think you always also like a team trading for Dexter Lawrence is probably going to have to give him a new deal unless he's just going to play for them on that deal. Which,
Lowers his trade value a little bit. I mean, it's not like he is coming off it's a difference between a rookie deal and a veteran extension. It's going to be more than he's making now, presumably, but it's not going to be that much of a drastic change. I think, like you said, the interest in him will show what the league thinks of him and kind of give the Giants. The Giants obviously feel that, or they're considering it. Otherwise, they would have, like you said, just extended him already if they thought that highly of him. So if you don't get a first, I personally would not trade him for anything that doesn't start with a first-round pick. So onto that report that the Giants might, or whatever the report was, that they are hoping to or probably could get a first-round pick. I don't think they should trade him if they're not getting a first-round pick.
and if you're not getting a first-round pick, why am I giving you a new extension?
Yeah.
If you're not valued as a first-round pick around the league, why should I have to give you more money? I'm already paying you as the 12th and 13th highest-paid defensive tackle the next 2 years.
Mm-hmm. And, like, your leverage, the only leverage he has is to just make the situation uncomfortable for the Giants. He has no real leverage to play for another team. He's under contract for 2 more years. He can sit out and choose to not play, but you're not going to get paid. He can be upset that he feels he's undercompensated, but like you said, yeah, if you're not worth a first-round pick to another team, maybe you're not overpaid or underpaid, excuse me. Someone said, did Quinnen get an extension with Dallas?
I think he did.
Double check on that quickly.
No, I don't think he did actually.
I think he was already on a sizable contract.
Yeah, he signed 4 for 96 in 2023.
I remember that was after the Dex deal, I think.
So yeah, he's got 2 years left. 2 years left. And he's making $21 million this year and $25.5 million next year. And Dexter Lawrence is making $20 million this year and $19 million next year. There is a potential out after 2026 for 0 dead cap. So they didn't trade for him for a rental. They're going to extend him. Jay says, I'm on board with whatever gets us more wins now and in the future. I just want to watch winning football regardless who's in that position.
Yeah. Hard to argue that trading Dexter Lawrence for draft picks and getting rookie players is going to make you better in the short term, but it opens up some flexibility to potentially reallocate some assets, help other areas of the football team, find other guys to replace Dex for a little bit less production probably immediately, but for the long term, you're getting a player who is cheap, cost controlled for, if it's a first round pick, 5 years, and then potentially more on top of that. So, and we'll see if Dex plays like if the last year of Dex is who he actually is, then it's not going to be as big of a loss if they do trade him as you would think. Got Austin coming in with the super chat. Says Dexter Lawrence to Dallas for their second first-round pick, or their 2 first-round picks. If he doesn't get paid and not traded, it's not going to do us any favors in the next 2 years.
I don't think the Cowboys are trading for him after they just traded a first and a second-round pick for Quinnen Williams. Never say never, but I don't think they're a team that are a likely destination. I don't. I'd love to get 2 first-round picks this year. That'd be sweet.
Yeah,
But
imagine that. Then have 3.
I don't think the Cowboys are going to trade him. I don't think the Giants would trade him either to the Cowboys.
They call me Fluffy.
Fluffy, what's up, bro? Marshall, I'm sick. We can't let our decks go. I don't know. Again, if I'm offered 2 first-round picks for Dexter Lawrence, I'd do it in a heartbeat. And that was before today even happened. You would ask me yesterday if I can get first-round pick in this year's draft and a first-round pick in last year's draft, next year's draft, I would do that. Yeah, I don't know. Christian, what's up, man? Ravens have an opportunity to do the funniest thing. That would be funny. That would. I just think just looking at the situation with Metabuke and you just signed whatever his name is. Hendrickson. Like, are they going to invest that much more in the defensive line? Maybe, but I doubt it.
Yeah, and it's then like with the whatever, if you are going to get a first-round pick in this year's draft, it kind of probably not going to be super high up because the team that's going to trade for Dexter Lawrence presumably and give up a first-round pick is presumably a team that's trying to compete and win right now. So it's probably going to be a team picking in the back half of the first round. The Ravens are kind of probably right around that, towing that line between a team that would want to make or wouldn't want to make that move in terms of where they're at in their competitiveness window. So that would be kind of probably the highest they would get just from a pick standpoint. But we will see. I'm sure this is not going to be gone anytime soon.
Yeah. Okay. Are we fully caught up?
We are caught up on Super Chats.
All right. We're going to sign off on today's show. We've been live for an hour and 45 minutes. I'll push out a video coming up in probably the next hour or so on the top trade destinations as well as trade ideas for Dexter Lawrence. And then anytime we get an update, we'll be putting out a video on it as well. So if you're watching the channel right now and you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button. Would really, really appreciate it. Until then, though, we'll see y'all later. Let's go Giants.